What's up?
Chris, hey, how are
Hey,
you?
good. How are you?
Very well, very well. Nice to see you.
Hey, nice to meet you. What's up?
Thanks so much for doing this with us. Pleasure.
Absolutely. You have an awesome collection of DVDs behind you. What the heck?
Oh, wow, thank you. Well, this is like the last living Blockbuster video store. But
Now I know where I
it's a smaller one.
need
It's
to go.
like
That's
we
cool.
survived.
I love it.
Awesome. Um, yeah, so are you ready for this? Do you have your popcorn ready and everything?
I've got a little bit of coffee and a
Oh,
Hello Kitty mug. Yeah, I'm ready. Are you?
absolutely, yes.
Cool.
Okay, so maybe first of all, when you did season three, did you already know that you were going to be a series regular in season four, or was that a surprise to you too?
Good question. No, when I agreed to do season three, it was just a co-star role, and it kind of grew from there. I think as the season went on, but we didn't know if we were going to have a fourth season. So I remember getting the call from Brian Yorkie, the show's creator, and he was like, "Okay, so we're gonna have a fourth season. By the way, uh, are you okay with being bumped up to a series regular? And this is what your character is going to be." And I was just like,
Right.
yes. It was a very, very good phone call, a great surprise.
Absolutely, I believe that. And I mean, it's your character is so important to Alex, especially because Alex went through a lot of stuff in the previous three seasons. And I have some friends who were like, when he first kissed Zach, they were hoping that they would become a thing. But I was so happy
Of
when,
course.
yeah, but I was so happy when Charlie jumped into his life because Zach had his problems and Winston had his own problems too. And Charlie seemed like this happy person, this happy soul that Alex needed in his life. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, well, I guess first of all, spoilers, right? If anyone hasn't watched yet.
Yes, yes.
But with those out of the way, yeah, I think of course a fan favorite was Zalex, as they call it, Zach and Alex, because who doesn't love both of those characters, right? But I think you're absolutely right. And what was so great for Alex is that Charlie was, although he was also coming out to his father and to the rest of the school as bi, he wasn't worried about what anyone else thought. He was very, this is who I am, and and everyone accepted him for that. So he provided this kind of this support system for Alex that I think he absolutely was able to connect with, and made their relationship a really, really special one.
Right. And speaking of the coming outs, I love about this show that we get to see different coming out stories. We've seen good ones here. We saw how parents should react to their kids, and but we also saw a bad example with Monty in the last season, where we saw how a parent should not react to his child. And I love that we get to see both because not only are teenagers watching the show, but they are also watching it with their parents. And so the parents get to see both versions and they might go like, okay, I don't want this broken relationship with my son. If I can get a healthy one, I'd prefer to have this one.
Yeah.
So what's your opinion on that?
I think you nailed it right on the head. This show shows both sides of the story, and I know just in the last week I've gotten so many DMs in my Instagram and on Twitter, and I'm doing my best to read as many as I can. I had one that stuck out to me that a person said, when I saw this show, it made me, when I saw you come out to your father as bi, it made me go to my parents and ask for a redo, because they had come out before and their parents weren't accepting of it. And they almost were like watching the show and thinking, I demand better from my parents.
Mhm.
And they said they had a redo, and it was a much better conversation the second time around because they both were able to watch this scene. And of course, no, real life is not always exactly like it is in TV and film, right?
Right, yeah.
But it was able to provide kind of a template of what a healthy coming out story does look like. And so I've gotten a lot of stories like that, and I think I'm very, very proud that the show was able this season to show two boys together, and no one thought anything of it except for, oh, they're a great couple. They won prom king, right? What an incredible message to be able to put in a show.
Absolutely, totally agree. And I mean, do you believe that shows like 13 Reasons Why and others that came before helped to normalize it to the audience? Because if you go back like 10, 15 years ago, you had also gay characters in television shows and movies, but mostly they were like sidekicks for fun, or if they had a conflict, it was mostly about them coming out. And when they did come out after like 12 seasons, when they lost that conflict, the character didn't work anymore, because it felt like it was the only thing that made the character exist there in this world. Now it's different. So would you say that normalizing it in TV and movies also helped to normalize it for the audience?
I think absolutely. What I was so proud about with the writing and the creation of season 4 and creating Charlie was, yes, he is a bi quarterback, but he's not suppressing it. He broke a lot of stereotypes. Like you said, we see a lot of other shows, and even in our shows like season 3, we see a character who has an abusive father and who takes it out on people and can't come to terms and acts out in violence. What I loved about Charlie is that it never was a story. There's a great scene at the Valentine's Day dance where Diego, the other new jock character, is talking to Jessica, and he goes, oh, well, he's gay or bi or whatever. And Jessica goes, why do you think that the only nice guy on the football team is gay? And Diego goes, no, it's not that. Why do you think that being gay is a bad thing? Maybe you aren't as woke as you think you are. And I thought that scene summed up everything so perfectly that this show was able to bring in season 4 for that storyline. You're right. It's not being gay is not a storyline. That is just who you are.
Right.
And it's fun when we can see other things, like Charlie loves baking. He loves taking care of his friends. He cares about them. He does the research. He's willing to do anything to protect them. Those are the characteristics that I love about Charlie. The fact that he likes people for people is just a beautiful thing I hope we all can come to terms with at some point.
Absolutely. Yes, totally. And would you say you also saw this development in real life? You know, like when I think back of when I was in school, like 15 to 20 years ago, it was like, if there was a rumor about someone being gay, that person was like treated very badly. But now if I have conversation with my niece, she goes like, yes, you know, we have like 2-3 gay guys in school, but nobody cares. And I go like, what? It was so different back then. It's only 15 years. But it seems that today's youth is like more open-minded than my generation was. How was it for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Same. And we have so much more work to do as, I believe, a world in accepting all walks of life and all sorts of lifestyles, but we have come further. We are at the furthest point we've ever gotten, I believe. Yesterday in the United States, we actually just had a huge Supreme Court ruling for LGBTQ communities and regarding how they cannot be fired for being gay at their workplace. You know, why did it take until 2020 for that to happen? Well, that's a different conversation. But what we can say is now it did happen, right? And so I think you're absolutely right. Every day is proving that if we continue to fight for what's right, we will continue to get the change that we want.
Absolutely. And speaking of changes, it was such a huge coincidence to see that we have all this with Black Lives Matter and stuff. And it was such a coincidence to see that one episode in the show, it almost felt like it was made for this. But and there are so many people, of course, supporting it, and but still many people still decided to ignore it and to stay out of politics and stuff. But what do you think, like, how important it is that you say when something's going wrong? Because in the show, if like when the stuff to Diego happened, if it would have been like 4 or 5 kids who would have, you know, tried to support him, the school would probably have said, okay, you know what, we get rid of you guys. But it was like everyone stick
movement.
together. Yes. So, and that was what turned into a change. And it feels like that this is also important here, because if you sit in front of your television and you say, okay, someone's got to do something about it, or I mean, if people don't know that you don't like it, then your opinion, like it feels like it doesn't count.
Yeah. I think you're right. That episode, what crazy timing, right? Because obviously we wrote it and shot it almost a year ago, but it goes to show that the writers were in tune with what is happening right now, and these were problems obviously that we've had for centuries, and it was just recently brought up because of the events that have happened in the United States. And I don't think the issue is a political issue. I think it's a issue between right and wrong, right? Do you side on the side where all lives, Black lives don't matter? Or do you say, no, these people have been oppressed, their lives matter, and it's a human right to be treated with the same decency that I'm treated with? So when you put it like that, it doesn't seem very political to me. And I'm happy that our show has incorporated that issue into it, because I think a lot of people prior to the protests that have been happening and the gatherings in the past couple of weeks didn't really still understand that this happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's important, like you say, with all the other issues in the show, that we see it. So it starts a conversation. Did our show portray it perfectly? Maybe not. You could always argue the way that the riot scene happened. But what I love about it is it makes people talk about it.
Right.
And that's what I think we need to educate people, and we need to talk about it and challenge people to think about everyone having a say and a right.
Absolutely, yes. And one thing that was very important to the high school students was to get to the prom. And for us, in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, we don't have prom, so we only see through movies how much it must mean to how much it must mean to American students. So we have sport events like that, but all this Valentine's Day or proms stuff that doesn't exist here, unfortunately.
Getting dressed up and getting a limo, it's all very silly in my opinion as well, actually.
Okay. So I was going to ask you how much it meant to you actually in real life, if that was something you were looking forward to or not so.
So for me, I have to go back a few years to my prom days, but I remember one year I bought a prom ticket the very last day you could buy one, because I didn't have a date. I was like, why are we spending my parents were like, we'll help you a little bit, but if you want this tuxedo, you have to pay that difference. And I'm like, why am I spending all this money for this silly date night that I don't even have anybody I care about to take, right? So I got pressured into taking some girl who, I was like, she would at least dance with me, it would be fun. And I had to act as Charlie to really find prom important, because I agree. I think it's a night that everyone put all of their attention and money into, and a couple years later you look back and you go, I can't believe I thought that was the most important night of my life. But it was very fun to be able to go back to my 16-year-old self and maybe do prom differently, right? I didn't win prom king obviously when I was in high school. It was really cool to win it with Alex in the show.
Absolutely, I believe that. Yeah. At least if you got your prom crown a little later, then.
Absolutely, it's never too late to be crowned prom king. That's what I figured out.
Absolutely, yes.
And you have to come to America so we can crown you as prom king, right? Like that's just the way it works.
Absolutely. I'd love to. Yes. Never been there so far. So it's a time.
And I've never been over to Germany and over there in Europe. So
we're gonna make a tour with you then when you come.
Absolutely. Once the global pandemic ends and we're allowed to enter each other's countries, let's do it.
Absolutely. Yes. We schedule something.
I'm down.
So one of the fun things about Charlie was also that he is a great baker. So he makes like dreams come true with his cookies. Are you a great baker too yourself?
Oh, that was probably the hardest thing I had to act. I am not a baker by any means. And I've actually the past week been working on some granola camp cookies that I've been teasing on Twitter to release a recipe. I'm trying to find the perfect recipe so we can make Charlie's granola camp cookies in real life. But it's taking me a little longer because I am starting from scratch. I am not a very good baker, no. But I think I can learn to be better.
Absolutely, you're gonna succeed. I believe that. Yeah,
I
definitely.
appreciate it.
Yeah, send one over when you made some.
Yes, yeah. I don't know if they'll be still good by the time they get in the mail, but fingers
Yeah,
crossed.
we have to send per via express. Yeah,
Yes.
mail.
Yes, and also Charlie's not just good at baking cookies. He's actually great at baking all sorts of types of pastries and everything. So he definitely I don't know where he got it from, but it was not Tyler. It was not me.
One of the things that also made me laugh when I jumped on Instagram was when you said that like the only request you had for costume designer Michelle was for Charlie to have fun socks. So I was wondering, why the socks?
You know what? One of my favorite parts about getting a job on a new show is the first fitting that you go to with the costume designer, because I actually used to work at a costume shop when I was in high school and college, and that was like my side job. And I always have such admiration for them. They have such a hard job, and you know, most of the times there's nobody ever gives them the praise they deserve. And so I always love hitting it off with them. And I remember the first time I met Michelle, I just told her, I was like, based on like the outfits you're putting me in, I feel like Charlie really cares about his sock game. Like he has good socks. And she looked at me like I was a crazy person, because if you watch TV and film for the most part, you never see their socks, right? Because most of the shots are from here up on the close-ups, obviously, and on the far shots, you just don't see their socks because they have pants on. And so she was like, well, that's kind of a strange request, Tyler, but I'll see what I can do. And let me tell you, she did not disappoint. By the end of the season, she even gifted me a couple pairs of socks from my own personal collection, where she just was shopping and she said, I found a pair of socks and I had to buy them and I knew you would love them. And so our relationship is obviously a very great relationship. I love Michelle. And yeah, I thought it was a fun Easter egg to share with the audience, because when I had seen the season, I saw a couple of different episodes where you could see my socks, and I wanted people to know that there was love that went into picking out those socks for sure.
That is lovely. That is lovely. I'm usually black and white when it comes down to socks, but maybe I could use some color too in the future.
It's just a fun way to accent the outfit, give a little pop of color, you know, maybe a little puppy dog face. Who knows?
It improves everything.
I think so.
Probably the one episode that was incredibly reviewed was the series finale, and it often feels like that series finales have a very hard time knowing that, like, even big shows like Game of Thrones or How I Met Your Mother had, you know, like very poor fan reactions to them. So
yeah.
Here it's totally different, and what I loved about it is that it was so much longer than a normal episode was before. It gave every character the opportunity to have its ending that the character deserves. So I was wondering, how much does it mean to you to have had one of these series finales that succeeded with the fans?
I think it means everything. I know that the ending that happened obviously upset a ton of people, because it's so hard to say goodbye to that character. But it really does feel great. I think that Brian and the writers put a tremendous amount of effort to make sure that everyone was taken care of in the season finale, in terms of understanding what is next for them. And really, you know, the idea for me that I just watched the season finale actually 2 nights ago, because I was holding off watching it because I didn't want it to end for me personally.
Right.
And I know how it ends, but watching it, I cried like a baby. And I think that although it was so sad and saying goodbye to the character that we've all come to love, it also showed that everyone else does still have that glimmer of hope for them, right? And moving forward in their lives. And I am really, really proud of the finale that we were able to give, because I think it allows a good finale, in my opinion. It allows you to continue to wonder what's going to be next for those characters, right? And so they dropped some hints in when the graduation scene afterwards and people talking about what's next for them. And now we get to have our imaginations kind of run wild and see what's going to be next for those characters in our own heads, which I love that.
Right, absolutely. And do you believe, because Dylan said something like that he could imagine a spin-off stories with other characters? Could you see that as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think, of course, the world and the industry is crazy, but yeah, I think what's so awesome about the writing is that I could see a spin-off with every single character, because they all have different things now that they have to go and you know, they're no longer high school students. Some of them are going to be going to college. Some of them are going to be entering the workforce. Some of them are going to be coaching. Like, I want to see where all of them go for the rest of their lives, because I think what the show did so well is we became so connected to these kids, and we thought we knew them, right? Like we do know them. They're people that we know in our lives, and I obviously want to see what Clay's going to be doing in 20 years. Is he going to be a psychologist? Is he going to be a teacher? What does he have, a family? Oh my goodness. Yeah. I think they would obviously, as fans, we'd love to see where all the characters go. For me, I can definitively say Charlie and Alex are still together. They're thriving. We know this to be true.
And we don't want any different.
Yeah, I
don't want to stay together. So, yes.
Yeah, they're doing well.
Absolutely, I believe that. Tyler, that was already it. Thank you so much for your time, man.
It's too easy. This is a great conversation. Thank you so much. I love talking about the show. It's so much fun to, you know, now that it's over, it's fun to reflect back and look at everything we just did. And thank you for the wonderful questions. That was a blast.
Well, thank you. You know what? Very often it happens that actors do not like to talk, and sometimes when they tell you before the interview, you feel like, ooh, how is this going to go, you know? But for me, I feel like if you're proud of something that you've created, it must be a blast to talk about it and to say what makes you proud of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I'm very glad you were in for this. You were a great interview. Thanks so much. All the best for the show and for your upcoming stuff. And I'm very looking forward to these cookies. So I really need to get
absolutely. Them. I've got to find myself in Germany. I actually, that's part of my background of where I'm from, and I have to find myself there. Just so hopefully we can fly sooner rather than later. And I'd love to visit you guys.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Tyler.
Thank you. Take care. Stay safe.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.